Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Unite with Food and Play. So, today's recipe is the famous Romanian cabbage rolls, also known as the sarmale. So basically sarmale are made with sour cabbage stuffed with pork or beef and a little bit of bacon combined with fresh dill and parsley. I know some people will avoid making their own cabbage rolls because they assume this type of recipe is complicated. I'm going to show you now how simple it is, so let's crack on. Okay, so can I make this recipe with fresh cabbage? Well, of course we can, but it's just a little bit more difficult. So, you know, using sour cabbage is what sets Romanian cabbage rolls apart from the rest. So if you can't find any, and then we can use fresh cabbage instead, which I'm going to show you. So, first thing we're going to do is, if you notice, I've got a massive big pot. Okay, don't do that, blunt my knife. We want to get this to boiling point, so nice big pot of water, boiling point. We're going to go in, I've already done it, but we'll add one more. So at least 5 tablespoons of the white distilled vinegar. So anything that says like, you know, sharp, tangy. So I'm going to put one more in. Why do we put the vinegar in? Well, without this, your leaves won't be like soft enough, soggy enough to roll when we put the meat in. So yes, very important, the white distilled vinegar. Some kosher sea salt. Now the Romanian sour cabbage, which you can buy in supermarkets, it's quite hard to find, hence why we're doing it this way. Are usually quite salty anyway in general, so always watch out for that. So, you know, if you're using the sour cabbage, try not to use too much salt throughout the recipe, because you know the last thing you want is just dead salty, and we don't want that. So my kosher salt's in, you know, nice and salty. I put 5 tablespoons of distilled vinegar. And then of course, some bay leaves for flavour. You know, you can try rosemary, anything you want to. I'm going with bay leaves. So, I've got the big, giant cabbage. I'm just going to take the first layer of leaves off, just because, you know, wherever it came from, packaged, you know, it's been touched. So just get rid of this one, this first layer only. Like so. Wonderful. We don't need these ones. That's all of it. Just a little bit more here. There we go. So first layer of cabbage leaves off, quite dirty usually. So I want to give you a little hint as well. It's quite awkward lifting in and out. You don't just want to drop it in, because obviously it's boiling water, it's vinegar, it's not going to be nice if it's going to hit you. So what I like to do is just get a fork in the centre like so. Not probably that far in, Michael. Okay, back there. Just a little bit more. Just going to drop it in like so. Now, see if you noticed, obviously you might struggle with saucepans, purposely because they might not be big enough, as you can see just here. So you might want to consider using the lid, just like so, just so it helps, you know, heat through nice and quick. And but you can always fill up with a little bit more water. So just go in with some more water. Don't worry too much about it, you know, not all of it being covered, because you know it will all heat through. It's just this part, it's just a cabbage, it's not meat or anything like that. So I'll quickly run you through it. So we're going to carefully separate the leaves from the head of the cabbage, so taking off the first layer. Bring a large, generously salted pot of water. So here it is in front of you. to the boil, and we're going to cook the cabbage for about 3 minutes. And you'll notice the leaves will start to separate. This will only work though if your water's already boiling, so mine's just slightly under boiling, so you know, I might want to do it for a little bit longer, so I might want to do mine for 5 minutes. And we'll go to the next step once this is done, guys. So, remember I told you, boiling water is the key. If it's not boiling, it needs to go in for a little bit longer. Good. Woo! So, our cabbage is definitely done. Just turn that off. So basically, obviously it went in as like, you know, like a ball kind of shape. So if you give it like a bit of a turn, all your leaves should come off pretty easy, like so. Just like that. Okay. So now we're just going to take each leaf, just make a little pile on a plate to the side. Be really careful because it's super hot. So the vinegar, you can't forget to put the vinegar in because the vinegar helps soften all the leaves, so it's very important. So, as you can see, obviously I managed to get all the big leaves off the lettuce. Try not to split the leaves. I'll try and show you a split leaf somewhere. I've definitely got one. There you go. So see how that one's split? We don't want that. Try and keep it all together. We can work around that, so don't worry too much. And then it's just a case of, as you get obviously further down, remember it's still quite hot, so just being really careful, just peeling those leaves away without splitting them, like so. Yeah, if you want to do a little bit at a time, that's fine. And then you'll get to like a centre part. I've already cut mine out, but don't throw that away. I'll show you what to do with it. Okay, so as you can see, I've already made a start with my pan just here. So I put in 5 tablespoons of olive oil just in the pan. So I'm just going to heat that up on a medium heat. Now I want you to take 3 medium-sized onions. I used 4 small ones because I never had the medium size. So 3 mediums or 4 small ones, and I want you to cut them as finely as possible. Chop them nice and small. Take your time. Always ask, you know, seek some help from an adult at home if you're not very confident with a knife. And remember, it's not a race. It's about enjoying it. Take your time. Another good, if I've not mentioned before, safe cutting techniques. So also we have one of our cooking playbooks. They should be on sale now. You know, I think there's a good 17, 18 recipes inside there, and you know, if you want to take a look, I think the main you've got your breakfast, you've got lunch, and you've got dinner. So you've got quite a variety in there. And I think there's about 5 of each. All super simple little creations that you can do at home, but it's got like a nice little bit of content in there on techniques of safe cutting. Now I think you've got the cross technique, you've got the bridge, and it just goes over a little bit. It's got loads of diagrams, and you know, some like really valuable information if you know you're not very confident with a knife at home. So yeah, take a look out for that, guys. Okay, so just before we're about to pop them in, I want you to double check, you know, depending on how well you've cut them, take out any big bits. We don't want any big chunks of onion. So look, I can see a couple pieces here from me, because obviously when we come to roll it, it's not going to hold all the meat and stuff together. So just double check. I'm quite happy with that now. So in going in my onions, olive oil that's already warmed up. So this stage is add the onions and until it's softened and they've turned a little more translucent. And remember, it's always in a pan as well. Make sure you've got a good pan. Plenty of movement. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a bit of colour in my onions now, like so. A little bit more translucent. Now, I'm just going to want you to add some water. So we'll go with we'll say 200 ml of water. We're just going to let them cook through a little bit, like so. So back to the lettuce leaves while the onions are still cooking. Remember that water we just added in. So if you look here, look, the thickest part of the cabbage is about with this little piece in the middle, this little stem in the centre. It's going to be really difficult to roll with that stem in the centre. So we're just going to remove that little stem, put it to one side. So again, remove the stem. Let's get a big one. So get a really big cabbage leaf. So there, we're just going to take away the stem, like so. Just cut that off, and then you should get about 2 rolls with this. Can you see? Should be able to roll at least 2 pieces of those Romanian rolls, and we're going to stuff all the meat inside. So the smaller leaves, you might only get 1 roll out of it, but the bigger leaves, for instance, this one, there you go, you probably get 2 out of them. So let's start by removing all the stems, just like so. Okay, so my onions are just about ready here, guys. I'm going to leave them to one side. My cabbage just here. Right. Next, I want you to get a mixing bowl. So I'm using a plastic one, as you can see. We're going to add our 2 pounds of pork. So anyone who wants to know 2 pounds of pork, you're looking at between 950 grams, precise 956, 957 grams of pork. So, or you can say 2 pound. So that's our pork. 1 second, I'm just going to wash my hands. Like so. So we've got our pork. Now I want you to, so this is your time where you can put like a pinch of salt or some pepper. Now I would advise, if you're using, the Romanian soured cabbage, that can tend to be quite salty. You don't want to put too much salt in, because the last thing you want is a dead salty recipe. So just a little bit of salt, but we are using the fresh stuff, so we can use that little bit more salt if we want to. So salt and pepper to seasoning for taste. Now I want you to go in with 1/4 cup of chopped parsley, so just like so. Let the knife do the work. It's not a race. Beautiful. It smells fresh. It smells lovely. Wonderful. Just add that in there. Okay, 1/4 of a cup of fresh dill. This is just the right amount, already checked. So fresh dill, 1/4 of a cup, or say 30 grams. Really strong stuff this is. So chopped. Full. Remember, we don't want any big, just like I told you with the onion, we don't want any big chunks of parsley or dill, so make sure it's all nice and small. Just gonna entertain that pork. Just lift it up a little bit. Wonderful. So, we're going to go in, just because we can. We're going to go in with 1 teaspoon of salt. So, 1 teaspoon of pepper. Now, give it all a mix, get your hands dirty. Are we ready? Like so. Remember, the even the ingredients are, the better it's going to taste. Don't be shy. Get some gloves if you're a bit funny about getting meat, because it is pork, getting meat between your fingernails, then do not hesitate. Get some rubber gloves on. So I'll just quickly run over the ingredients again. So we added a 2 pound of meat. We also added 1/4 of a cup, which works out about 30 grams, of parsley and 30 grams of fresh dill. Then we had 1 teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, I've reminded you, if you are using the Romanian ready-made cabbage leaves, they are naturally quite salty, and I said to you, the last thing you want to do is make your recipe dead salty. Wonderful. Okay, so our onions are ready, our mixture is ready, in it goes. I'm going to mix all that together with the onions. The heat is relatively high, mine goes to 9, I'm on 7, so if you ever think whereabouts your heat should be, so just above medium to high, obviously not too high. So we're mixing it all together, getting all the ingredients nice and even, like so. Now, passata. I've got 690 grams. I've got 500 grams. However, this isn't, even though it looks full, it's not full. It's about halfway. So I'm just going in with about 300 grams of passata because my meat's starting to cook now, but I don't want it to. Remember, it's got rice with it as well, so it's gonna, it's gonna dry it out. I want it to stay quite sticky. Just going to add a little bit of water to this. So. Wonderful. Going to give that a really good mix. Add some more passata in, guys. So another 300 gram. Give that all a good mix. Okay, so with the passata, with all the mincemeat, all the ingredients are all cooked thoroughly, as you can see. Now the waiting game, we do have to wait for this to cool down because, you know, we're going to be taking a couple of teaspoons of the ingredients, and then we're going to be filling these wonderful fresh cabbage leaves. So a couple of teaspoons, and we're just going to be rolling them like little parcels, just like so. And then we'll go on to the next step. So ingredients is all cooked, just going to wait for it all to cool down, like so. So I've took a separate bowl just to speed it up a little bit, because we might not use all these ingredients because there's a lot of meat there, and then there might not be enough cabbage leaves, but we will see. So whilst our mixture is cooling down, ready for us to, you know, hand roll and put into the cabbage leaves, so the opportunity is, you know, you can put it into an oven for 1.5 to 2 hours, or for a little bit more convenience for time, I'm going to use my slow cooker like so. Now, remember all those bits of cabbage which I said, you know, when you get towards the end, it's the leaves. The leaves are quite, you know, quite too small to do anything, to do any kind of roll with. We're just going to chop these up, okay? Just like so. Just spread them out at the bottom. Like so. Nothing wrong with that. Because remember, it's still got a bit of flavour in there, because, you know, we soaked it in, well, with that tangy distilled white vinegar, and then obviously the bay leaves as well. So I've got a little bit more here as well, so just like so. Just like a bit of a base at the bottom. So, all in, sorted. Now, the whole idea next is we're going to take our mixture, one of these cabbage leaves, just like so. I'm trying to zoom in for you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our cabbage leaves, which was from the start. We're just going to get 1 or 2 teaspoons of meat, just like so. Okay. Depending on how big your leaves are, depending on how big your, you know, how good you can roll the cabbage leaves together, can be quite difficult. We don't want any ingredients folding out at the end. There you go. And there's 1 cabbage leaf. We'll do another one for you. So, cabbage leaf, meat, remember it's got that rice between there as well. So, you know, this is quite tedious, it's going to take you a lot of time, so, you know, this could be a good opportunity to do it with your family, do it all together. So, try not to let any ingredients slip out. If you get a little bit at the end, just poke it back in, carry on rolling. So, there's another one. So, obviously, all the rolled cabbage is inside my slow cooker. I will say it's quite difficult. You will appreciate a really big cabbage leaf because it's really hard to roll with tiny leaves, or if you've left that fixed stem on, you'll see what when you get to that step. Now, so got some leftover mixture here. I'm just going to put a little bit in the centre like so. I've got some bacon bits, just like so. Just going to sprinkle that all around. Obviously that's going to add to all the flavour. So think of all that fresh dill, that fresh parsley, we're going to add some bacon. Then we're going to add 200 ml of water. Just like so. And then finally, another 200 ml of water. So as that goes in, I'm just going to start to see it just on top of the cabbage rolls. Just like so, and then we're going to put slow cooker on for 2 minutes, 2 hours. So, the final stage is upon us, finally. It was quite a difficult dish, if I must say. A case of boiling the cabbage whole at the start, pickling it, obviously individually rolling each cabbage leaf filled with all the meat, the contents, and then I gave you the choice if you wanted to put it inside the oven for 2 hours, or for convenience, put it into a slow cooker if you're one of these people that don't have a lot of time. So, 2 hours later, obviously I've taken all the rolls out and I've dished it up on a plate. I've garnished with some extra dill, some spring onion. I've also got a little side dish of sour cream. I'll hold up the camera, but I'll take a picture for you guys anyway. And that's my Romanian style stuffed cabbage rolls, sarmale. That's it for today's guys. I'll see you all soon.